This is Auto Marketing Now with Brian Pasch.
Welcome to Auto Marketing Now, and on today's show we're going to be focusing on dealer marketing education, and I'll be sharing an amazing story of a transformation of one dealership manager and how he embraced digital marketing education to transform his dealership. So let's get started with today's show. I'd like to welcome a special guest on today's show, Tom Moore for the Morgan Auto Group. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian.
So, Tom, we've met just recently, and it really was a unique set of circumstances that brought our companies together. You attended one of my webinars as the regional director for the Morgan Auto Group in Florida.
Right.
And I made a statement. I said that dealers, you're in the e-commerce business, whether you like it or not. Tom, when you heard that, what was your first impression?
Well, I realized you were right, and also realized there was one big important detail. I had no idea what e-commerce was, and I had no idea what being an online marketer was either.
So let's step back. You've been in the business now over 38 years. What type of roles have you had in the industry so the watchers of today's show can get a little background of who you are?
Well, just like everybody else, I got in the business by accident, really. I served in the U.S. Air Force and loved jet airplanes. That was going to be my career. I wanted to be a pilot someday. And I sold cars for the summertime and never looked back. It's been a labor of love, if you will. I've held just about every position in car dealerships, including I've been dealer principal, I own my own stores, and now I'm the regional director for the Morgan Auto Group.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted you to have on this show was that you represent, I think, a cross-section of passionate professionals in the automotive industry that are kind of thinking, wow, all of this digital marketing stuff, online marketing is, well, a little beyond my reach. Tom, you shared with me you were getting to a point where you were ready to retire.
I had actually thought about it. I felt like things had passed me by, and I was frustrated because marketing's always been, I consider that my chief responsibility. It always has been. Actually, ever since I got my first job as a sales manager, I've always considered getting people into the dealership as being my number one job. I was always pretty good at it, but it wasn't working as well. Things just weren't working well. It was very frustrating. I was working twice as hard and getting a fourth of the results.
Well, I'm sure people watching today's show can identify with that. We know data from DME Automotive saying that, well, consumers are visiting less dealerships, and so was part of that frustration with that changing consumer behavior, you were scratching your head on how to connect with these shoppers.
That's absolutely right. And watching the webinar, I saw that statistic for the first time, actually. And I realized it wasn't just me, that there was an actual a cataclysmic event that had occurred where it completely changed people's shopping habits. Now, I've seen lots of change in 38 years. When I first started in the business, there wasn't even F&I managers. Nobody, Pat Ryan had not yet invented the F&I department. I went through that change, many other ones, the internet revolution.
Sure.
But along the way, really, nothing changed other than the script that the salespeople used. It was still the same amount of people. They still came to us for information. They came through the front door. And if you were good at running ads and you could arouse people's curiosity, you had a never-ending stream of traffic coming through the front door. Right. And that stopped. I thought it had just stopped for me, but actually no, it had actually changed for everyone. New rules.
It is. And the reason why I wanted to have you on the show is you made a decision after that webinar to reach out to PCG Consulting and say, I need some help. Would you agree with me that probably one of the biggest barriers for people who have been in the automotive industry for a long time is that willingness to admit that they need help?
I'll let you in on a little secret. A lot of car guys, believe it or not, have type A personalities and they think they have the answers. We all know that's true. I was one of those too. And it's hard for us to admit we don't. I've said before that I think the biggest impediment to future success sometimes can be success you've already had. And so it was tough for me to admit I had no idea, that I didn't have the answers and I needed help. I saw your webinar. If you remember, I called you.
Yes, you did.
And said, look, I basically recited the things we've already talked about and said, I need help. And you were kind enough to help me arrange a plan that would help me get some answers.
Yeah, and when I tell the story to other people, because I've been really touched by your personal experience, we were talking on the phone and you said, Brian, I need some help. I said, okay, what do you need? He says, I really need a coach. I need someone who's going to take some time one-on-one with me to help me understand things like what Google AdWords is and SEO and Google Analytics and what am I supposed to do with social media. And I said, Tom, I really don't have that type of package. And well, your sales skills obviously were still on tune because, well, we ended up putting together a custom training package.
Yeah, we did.
So for people watching today's show, at a high level, what did that training look like for you and why was it effective?
Well, it started, I mean, I literally was helpless. I didn't even know the words you just said, as hard as that is to imagine. I mean, I wasn't oblivious to the fact that there was such a thing as paid search because I'd been on the internet a few times, but I had no idea how it related to automobile business.
Right.
Google Analytics, I've never seen it. All the metrics, and I had no idea. So you started me with, you put me with a great coach. Kristen was fabulous.
Yeah,
and what we did is she designed a custom program for me with your help, where basically for 1 year, once a month, sometimes twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, we would go online and we would have phone training. We'd do it by phone because it's difficult for me to travel with all the responsibility I have.
Of course.
We do it online. She was very patient, and we started with basics, literally like Vince Lombardi did. This is a football, and it's made out of leather. So,
right.
And she helped me. After a couple months, I started. You know, people would say, "Wow, where'd you hear that at?" I said, well, "It's a secret. I can't tell you." And then things started becoming fun for me. First of all, I'm a curious person by nature. I think that's one of the reasons I've been successful. Is when I get passionate about something, I'm all in.
You dig in.
And I sure do. And I began to enjoy the journey. I've learned a lot. That 1 year went by so fast. It was unbelievable. And the best part about it is it's really had an effect on the dealership's results.
Great, and we're going to talk about those results in a few moments, but let's talk about where you are today. At one point, you were thinking that the automotive industry and the marketing strategy has passed you by. You've had really a rebirth in your commitment and excitement for people who are watching today's show that may be veterans of the auto industry. What is it like getting up today and going into the dealership and engaging with these digital metrics?
You know, I have always, when I wake up in the morning, I've always, seriously, the car business for me, it's like I've never worked a day in my life. I'm a lucky person, and a lot of other guys in the car business I know feel the same way. I've found something I love and I always have. Some of that excitement went away now. I'm more excited now than I ever been. I wake up in the morning and first of all, I've been dreaming about stuff overnight that's work related, but I wake up in the morning with a passion about what I'm going to do that day. We just went through designing our marketing plan for all 5 dealerships for 2015. 2-day series of meetings with my ad agency, and then a couple days worth of meetings with my team. And we got a great plan laid out for this year. Our digital strategy is, in my humble opinion, outstanding, and it's going to pay great results for us. And my team's excited about it now. I'm passionate. They're passionate. It's great.
You know, one of the things that I think is missing in most dealers' digital strategy is the entrepreneur is not part of the conversation. And for dealers and managers watching today's show, I think it's a huge loss for a dealer principal or general manager to say, you know, that digital marketing, that $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, well, Jim over there, he understands that, and I just trust him with it. And it's almost like they gave up. And Jim is green behind the ears. He doesn't have 38 years of business experience. He doesn't have 38 years of people experience. He doesn't have 38 years of sales experience. He doesn't have the hundreds of tests that you've been. But yet now, your team is benefiting from all 38 years of your experience, and you're part of the engagement conversation. That has to be a huge change. And is your team seeing that? What are they saying to you?
Well, you know, initially, now I'll be honest, I had as much pushback or more pushback from my team than anybody. We've been successful together. We've made a lot of money. Things have gone great. They had trouble buying into what I was saying, but once they understood the logic and they realized the same thing that I did, they're more passionate even than I am now. It was amazing. My most difficult general manager, the one who was least on board, after yesterday's AB meeting, he and I stayed for 3 hours after the meeting till 10 o'clock at night, just talking about pre-roll, of all things, about our pre-roll strategy that we're using this year and how we're targeting it to certain demographics. And you know, he's become a student of that too, so it's great. And I think what's missing when you have someone, when you advocate that to someone who's green behind the ears, as you say,
right.
The guys, first of all, they don't take him serious. And then what you end up with is a detached strategy. You have that into your business as not really being part of your business, whereas it needs to be, all your business needs to be built around that, it needs to be integrated into every single part of it. That cannot happen unless the person who's leading the business is intimately involved, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, Tom, when you came here to the studio, I saw you had some reports. I asked you and you said, Brian, I got some data to share. So for people watching today's show, you've invested a year to get yourself engaged with digital, engaged with online marketing, engaged with understanding today's consumer. What have been the measurable benefits to your dealership group as a result of your personal commitment?
Well, I've got a couple small things here.
Sure.
I could have bought reams of stuff. But I picked a couple easy ones, if you will.
Go through them.
Probably about 3 months into the project with Kristen, she went through SEO with me and how important it is that your keywords and your meta tags on your website. Funny I can say those words because 2 years ago I didn't know what they were.
You sound like me.
But it's funny. Now we had a website vendor that I didn't realize it, paying them for a quote premium SEO package, which they hadn't even touched. When we went through on that 1 hour session, I was shocked by how poorly executed that strategy was. And the truth is that they just weren't paying attention to it on their end. Immediately after that was over, I scheduled a conference with them. They admitted they had dropped the ball, but they got behind the strategy with me. We reworked all of those key areas. We talked about where we should be selling cars, we weren't selling cars, we talked about what cities we need to talk about. We changed our whole strategy. Now, as organic, SEO, for those people that don't know out there, I'm sure almost everybody does, but SEO is where people search for like your dealership or put something in, and they find your listing. It's free. It's not a paid ad. It's your listing where it comes up for free. That's called organic search. And since we did that in May, one of the stores is up by 15,000 visits year over year, organic visits. The other store is up by 12,000. The leads, we have an additional 300 leads that we receive, form leads. Now, that's not the number one purpose anymore. People are submitting less form leads, but it's still part of the business.
Listen, it's incremental business.
It is, and we received 300 additional leads over last year, form leads. We closed about 20% of those on average.
Right.
So we're talking about an additional 60 deals for an investment of zero, other than my time.
That's right.
And
because you were able to inspect what you were paying for.
Yep. And that's all it was. Once she explained it to me, and again, that's a case where you have to be involved. You can't just advocate things. You have to be personally involved, and somebody at the top needs to be looking.
What other areas, Tom, did you see a lift or improvement?
AdWords, by spending time with her and learning how to audit my AdWords vendor, I was amazed by what I saw. So a few statistics on that. At one store, 171% improvement. Now, I didn't raise my budget. My budget is no higher. I'm spending the same amount of money as I did in 2013, but we're up 171% year to date. And almost all that lift has come since she and I did a review of that and after I worked with the vendor. Now, that's one store. The other store is up an equivalent amount. It's amazing, really, what is probably being left on the table in most dealerships. It was simple things, really. It wasn't anything, it wasn't rocket science, what you showed me, but of course now I'm intimately involved with what they do. We audit, we have online meetings once a month, go over the results from our pay-per-click, and just like we do on the organic with our vendor as well.
Tom, I think it's fair to say that many people in your position in the dealership, they are familiar with every number. They run their business down to the penny, in service, in new cars, in used cars, in floor planning. But traditionally, this marketing piece, this digital marketing piece has been a black box. Would you say today you have full transparency and full accountability for every dollar that you're spending, and that you truly are mastering your business in the year 2014?
I do. The tool that you introduced me to, ROI Bot, I think a key metric that car dealerships, if they're not looking at it now, they need to, and that's cost per VDP.
That's right.
If customers don't look at your vehicle display pages, then nothing's going to happen.
That's right.
And there's still so much more. I'm so excited about tomorrow. I'll probably learn some new stuff tomorrow. But how we've driven down our cost per VDP at the stores, how we're spending less money, but we're getting more vehicle display pages. 2015 is this is where it's all really going to pay off for me. And I'm fortunate, the group that I work for, the Morgan Auto Group, Larry Morgan, entrepreneurship, it runs throughout our business. Larry is one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs, and it feeds all through our business. And his son, Brett, is really very familiar with the digital strategy as well. So I've got buy-in from all the way at the top, from our CEO all the way down.
Well, your story is so important for the automotive industry to hear, because here you are after 38 years reinventing yourself. You are relevant, you are engaged, and more importantly, you are delivering an ROI across your entire budget for marketing and sales and fixed operations. This is really a story that other dealers should hear. I want to encourage other dealers watching today's show to think of you, Tom, as their inspiration, that no matter how old you are, no matter what you've preconceived as understandable or not, with the right coach, you can lead your digital strategy. If you had to leave the dealers watching today's show, your peers in the industry, what's one thing you'd like to communicate to them?
Don't fear the unknown. If you don't know this, you can learn. If I can learn, you can learn. And I'll tell you this much, that this change is not going away. It's here to stay. You'll get left behind if you don't catch up.
That's right. And it would be a loss to the investment that you've made in your whole career. It would be a loss to the dealership group that you and your peers are not part of the digital conversation, part of the digital strategy. I know that the Morgan Auto Group is going to be a fierce competitor in 2015. I'm looking forward to coming down and doing some seminars with your team live. I'm excited to meet the whole team. But Tom, thanks so much, and more importantly, thanks for inspiring me and thousands of other people in the automotive industry about your commitment to understand today's business.
Thanks for everything you've done for me too, Brian.
Thank you. And now for today's marketing tip. Today's show is focused on dealer education, so I wanted to give dealers watching today's show some free resources to help with their digital marketing education. Let's start with some online websites. If dealers are looking to ask questions to their automotive peers and really get engagement that, well, is of the highest quality, I encourage dealers to become a member of dealerrefresh.com. The website posts timely and relevant articles, plus has a very active forum. Dealers can go online, ask specific questions, and, well, rest assured that you're going to get an engaged response. Dealers who are looking to inspect reviews on digital marketing vendors or products that, well, they're considering adding to their digital strategy, I recommend going to drivingsales.com. Driving Sales has over 20,000 reviews from automotive professionals on products like CRM and websites and digital marketing platforms. Also reviews for automotive trainers, phone trainers. Well, Driving Sales has a robust online review system that can be very helpful for dealers. Lastly, AutomotiveDigitalMarketing.com, founded by Ralph Palya, is one of the oldest and still the most active online forum for automotive marketing articles. Ralph and his contributing writers, well, they keep things fresh and exciting every month. So there's no reason for dealers watching today's show to feel that they don't know where to go to get advice or to read articles on the latest changes in Google or social media. Of course, dealers who are looking for a comprehensive textbook on digital marketing can pick up my latest copy of my book, Mastering Automotive Digital Marketing, and that's available online. And it is a full discussion on all topics regarding a dealer's digital marketing strategy. So what are you waiting for? Get online, start reading articles and engaging with your peers because, well, the future of your dealership depends on it. And that's today's marketing tip. And now for today's email grab bag question. A dealer principal writes, Brian, I have so much going on at the dealership. Does it still pay to send my team out to digital marketing conferences? Well, this is a really good question because dealers do have limited resources to manage their dealership. There's not a lot of fat on the bone anymore. And, well, 2 or 3 days out of the dealership may seem a lot, especially for that key person in the dealership who's running their marketing strategy. I do feel that online training is an effective way to supplement the skills of a marketing manager, but there's something about live, interactive training that can help motivate or inspire someone to action. Meaning, sending out a dealer principal or a general manager to a digital conference, a fixed ops manager, they could really get excited by their peers and, well, hear stories of success and ask questions, and then come back to support that experience with online training. But online training alone, without that passionate engagement from a talented trainer or a marketing professional, well, sometimes fails to truly motivate and start a change process within the dealership. But I will say, if you're going to send someone to a conference, let me give you 3 handy tips. Number 1, have the person outline which courses they're going to attend in advance. Number 2, make sure that you communicate to them that they're required to take notes from those workshops and that you will be inspecting those notes. And number 3, when they return, require them to put together an action plan of how they're going to use the information they learn from the workshops and training in your dealership. And then save a copy of that action plan and review that 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days from when they returned. Why? Because if you find that your employees are going and taking notes, if they are writing meaningful changes that can impact your dealership, and if they are implementing them, well, why wouldn't you send them out to another conference? But if they're not taking notes, not bringing back an action plan, they have nothing to implement, and well, that investment may be totally wasted. So I hope that answers your question and gives you some new ways to look at live and online training. If you have a question for the email grab bag and we use it on the show, we'll send you a free copy of my book, Mastering Automotive Digital Marketing. So please send in your email questions to the email address shown on the screen, and I look forward to reading and responding to all your questions. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of Auto Marketing Now.